Hey everyone, it's Friday night, it's 10 p.m., and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Welcome to the Dead Frequencies, a place where ghost stories and strange encounters echo from the other side of the frequency. And I'm your host tonight, Matty James. Most people don't realize the human ear can only hear sounds between 40 hertz and 60,000 hertz. That's our frequency. Dogs, they can hear far beyond that, into both lower and higher frequencies that for the most of us, we'll never experience. So what if someone or something existed in those frequencies just beyond our range? What if in those lower and higher frequencies, they're trying to communicate with us? What if sometimes we're able to hear them, but we just ignore it? You know, all those times you thought you heard something or someone calling you by name, but no one's there. What would they be willing to do in order to get our attention? We would never know unless somehow they figured out how to use other methods. Well, that's where we begin tonight's story. A true story, a personal story from my basement bedroom. My parents had just bought a different home, and we were already remodeling it the week we moved in. I was going to school, and we as a family decided that I should save my money on rent and just commute to the university. We built a new bedroom for me in the basement. I was not really being excited about how cold and dark it was downstairs at this home, and I was not really at ease with the noises this new house made, but what did I know, right? I never owned a home before, and this would be my first time living underground in a basement. Most of the basement, just off my room, had been made into a finished room with a sink and a refrigerator, so it was like having a full-size apartment. I quickly ended up loving the idea of this newfound freedom and loved that it allowed me to fall into a deep sleep immediately, especially when I turned that box fan on. That hum of the fan and the immediate darkness of the room knocked me out every time. Back then I was grinding hard, working 3 jobs just to pay for school. Classes during the day, second shift at a steam mill until 10 p.m., and then the start of my dream job, the overnight shift in radio from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. But this night was different. It was the weekend, and for once I was not working, and I decided not to go out. I was exhausted, and I had plenty of college work to catch up on. I stayed home, did some homework, watched some TV in my basement bedroom, and turned in around 10 p.m. to finally catch up on some sleep. On went that box fan, and good night world for me. You know that odd feeling you get where you wake up for no apparent reason, where your body tells you something's off? Well, according to the glowing red numbers on my radio clock, it was a blurry 1 a.m. And I felt this weird, static energy in the room. I can't really explain it. It was like a dry cold. I mean, I was in the basement, but everything felt clingy. Yeah, that's probably the best way I can describe it, like a static had settled over the whole room. I also could faintly hear a conversation through the hum of the box fan that I often left on to circulate air. Hello, is what I heard. It was so odd, because I know no radio was being played, and I had never experienced that before. I figured that maybe I was just hearing my dad watching TV upstairs, or maybe he came downstairs like he did sometimes and forgot I was sleeping in the room. But either way, I had no energy to check out why I was now semi-awake. It was too late, and I was too exhausted. So I completely tried to ignore what my body had been telling me, and it worked. Until it didn't. Maybe an hour later, I woke up again, and suddenly, I was irritated. It felt like something was apprehensively pressing down on my chest, but it was heavy. I couldn't breathe well. I thought maybe the blankets are wrapped up too tight around me, but I wouldn't be able to tell because it was so dark in that room, or so I thought. Then I heard it again. Hello. And so I opened my eyes. And that's when I saw it. There was a blue aura glowing up in the room, just enough to see my blankets, but nothing more. The light was emitting from a small figure, maybe 3 or 4 feet tall, sitting right on my chest. What the hell? Hello. Almost like an old movie, shown against the walls, somewhat transparent. It was so odd. I wasn't scared, not yet. I was just confused, and I was amazed at the detail. The description of this thing was wild. It had long, pointy face, black, hollow eyes, a top hat, and shoulder-length hair. Its chin and nose, they were pointy sharp, moving its head around, checking out the area. Its teeth were long and stretched, but they were human teeth, and it was grinning, almost like it was laughing silently to itself, like it was proud of itself. But that is what made me the most irritated at the moment. Almost like he could get off my chest, but let's just see how much this guy will freak out if I stay. Like he wanted to see my fear. As it turned its head to me, and the moment it looked at my face, I realized he could see me. And I am now awake, and everything changed. Its grin vanished. It looked surprised. I balled up my fist, sat up fast, and threw 2 combo head punches right through its blue glowing form, and it threw its arm back to block the punches that never landed. It faded. I just sat there in the dark, trying to process what had just happened. What the heck did I just see? And then, in true sleep-deprived logic, I thought, okay, that was crazy, but whatever it is, or whatever it was, it's gone now. And I'll just go back to bed. So I did. My imagination is running wild. I didn't believe in ghosts, but I should have. I laid on my side and faced away from the door, and the moment I got comfortable, not quite asleep, but almost there, I heard my bedroom door creak, open and then shut. Now that door opening wasn't entirely unusual. My dad had hung that door himself, and let's just say craftsmanship combined with patience, well, it wasn't a strong suit. If the heat kicked on, the air pressure in the room would change and it would pop open. But this time, it sounded and felt different. It closed. Click. Click. The click was the odd sound to have me open my eyes, goosebumps to stand at full attention on my arms and put me on full alert. That click has never happened. That door never closes after. I was not sleepy at all now. I just wanted this to stop. The glow from my radio clock began to dim, and now I thought I could again hear those voices from the box fan, but this time I could not make out what was being said. Then that static feeling came back with full force, much stronger this time. The air got really cold. The air got really dry. And just then, the blankets covering my back pulled gently around me at first, and then super tight, like someone was now sitting behind me, trying to keep me from moving. My neck and back were now super cold. And I can't breathe. The blue light was much brighter than before, but because my back was turned and I was being held down, I could not see it. I had had enough. If it wanted to test me, if it wanted to find out how much I respected it, I didn't. I jumped out of bed, and those sheets just flew. Threw a few more blind swings in its direction, yelled, "That's it! Show yourself, or leave me alone! You're not wanted here, blue man!" Hello. And just like that, for a few seconds, static gone. Cold gone. But what came next definitely got my attention, and I will never forget. I heard the word whispered from the fan, and that word was, "No." My bedroom door flew inward forcefully enough to bounce off the wall. No. And then the heavy basement door flew inward with great force. No. The door is way too heavy to move like that. It opened much too fast. 2 pictures hanging on the wall outside my door flew to the ground and broke. And my homework in that same room was all over the ground. It was like whatever I said, I challenged it and forced it out, and it was mad. What the hell was that? I sat there in the dark and became very aware of what was happening. My body knew exactly what to do now. Every hair on my arms and legs were now standing straight up. Fight or flight had finally kicked in, and that's when I knew I wasn't going back to sleep. I can't win this. What is this thing? That's when I knew there would not be a three-peat, and I was going through those doors to get out of this room before it came back. I burst out of the bedroom with a wild adrenaline rush I've yet to experience again. I turned on every light in the basement on the way out. I leaped up the stairs 3 at a time to get to the top. I continued running until I got to the family room. I sat on the couch with the TV on, all the lights on, until the sun came up. I even slept on the couch for a few weeks. I never told my parents, never told my friends, never told my brother or sister or cousins. Nobody. I didn't want anyone thinking I was crazy, and I did not want to be asked about it. Never. Ever. But I know what I saw, and I know what it did, and I know I got a couple swings in on the blue man in the basement. I called him out, and I know it did not like it. Fast forward about 20 years. I'd moved to Florida with a baby boy and started a new healthcare business with my wife. Life was relatively good. But one afternoon, my son and his little friend were riding on the bikes across the street, and they were continually racing back and forth, both looking to the side of them and laughing. My wife and her friends were watching them and asked, "Are you guys keeping score?" And they answered, "Yeah, but the man won." My wife and her friends looked around and said, "What man? There's nobody here." "The blue man," they said. "He has been racing with us." My wife didn't think much of it at the time, but later that night she mentioned it casually. "Hey, something kind of weird happened here today. The kids were pretending to race with someone they called the blue man." My blood ran cold. They'd never heard that story. Nobody had. Nobody knew. And yet, here he was again. Now, I don't know what the blue man was. I don't know if it really meant to hurt me. It didn't feel evil. It felt, I don't know, curious, awkward, and at this point, definitely persistent. But what I do know is this. There are some things that exist just outside a range of hearing. Somewhere they exist in that static. Somewhere they are located in that silence between stations. And somewhere they're trying to communicate with us. That somewhere is in the dead frequencies. I'll see you next time with more stories, if the frequency's right. Thank you for listening. We drop another story next Friday at 10 p.m. and you should be there too. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button now. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Just touch the icons listed below, and we thank you in advance. And if you have a story you'd like me to read, one of your own experiences, please contact us at thedeadfrequencies@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Hello.